My love for Goosebumps started with a copy of The Phantom of the Auditorium that I rented from the library. The rest, as they say, is history. I fell in love with this series instantly when it came along and launched on Fox Kids on October 27th, 1995. The series lasted 4 seasons. It served up 74 episodes for our viewing pleasure. I always feel the need to revisit the series. The nostalgia has never worn off for me. This series is perfect for any time of the year, but especially for the Halloween season. I believe it's a great introduction to horror for your children. Now here's my top 10 favorite episodes of Goosebumps. This countdown will be spoiler heavy. Number 10, Attack of the Mutants. Skipper is an 11-year-old boy who is obsessed with comic books, mainly the Galloping Gazelle, and has battles with the Masked Mutant. Fantasy becomes reality when they step outside the pages of a comic book and into the real world. Skipper is the only one who realizes this, but not before the Masked Mutant lures him into a trap. Skipper must now save his hero, and little does the Masked Mutant know that Skipper is a worthy adversary. Skipper outsmarts the Masked Mutant and makes him melt away. After emerging victorious, Skipper discovers powers and a new name for himself, the Colossal Elastic Boy. Now, Skipper reminded me a lot of myself as a kid. This episode had everything in it. Campy big suits, hammy dialogue, much like other superhero TV shows from that time. I love the use of colors in the costumes and in the set. The cherry on top of this sundae is that the bright knight Adam West is playing the Galloping Gazelle. That alone elevates this one for me. The 66 Batman always holds a special place in my heart, and the Attack of the Mutant makes the cut for me for these reasons alone. Number 9, Let's Get Invisible. Noah and Max and their friend Aaron discover a mirror that can turn you invisible. All is fine until they continue to use the mirror. Soon they discover a reverse doppelganger is trying to take their place. After each use, they are pulled further away from their reality until enough is enough and Aaron shatters the mirror and everything returns to normal, or so it seems. Now this one, I don't want to give away too much, but I want to tell you about the look of the mirror. I love the look of the mirror. I love the look of the other side. The reverse doppelganger is a cool concept, and it makes for a good story, honestly, with the ending that you might not see coming. Number 8, a shocker on Shock Street. Aaron takes Marty on a tour of Shock Street Studios. Aaron's father insists that they both get on his newest ride. Once things go awry, Aaron and Marty discover the truth about themselves and Shock Street Studios. Before Aaron's dad can erase their mind, they seek vengeance. Some costumes from prior episodes are incorporated in different ways. The whole haunted house theme I love. It's wild that the father literally created everything in the park. In some ways it reminds me of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, a scientist hell-bent on creating life, playing God, creating a being, and that being turning on you and imminently causing your doom. Number 7, Night of the Living Dummy 2. After Amy's dummy, Dennis, loses his head, Amy's dad gives her Slappy. The incantation is read. Slappy is awakened and chaos ensues. Slappy ruins Amy's sister Sarah's painting and insults her dad, and then tries pummeling him with the guitar, honky-tonk man style, baby. Amy dumps him in a sewer. Slappy returns and shows the kids that he's alive. Slappy tries to take over, but Dennis makes sure that doesn't happen. I love the design of Slappy, that it's different than the book cover. No one believes Amy. I think that's fun. I have a lot of fun with that this kid is going around and it's really happening and no one believes her until they see Slappy moving. It has some cool shots with Slappy on the chandelier and Slappy sitting up. With this one, it's really the little things that make it stand out. like watching Slappy's eyes move, or even watching him get caught red-handed. That definitely gives off some child play vibes. Number 6. Welcome to Horrorland. The Morris family is lost, searching for zoo gardens, but fireballs steer them into the direction of Horrorland. After their arrival, the family splits up. The kids do not heed a monster's warning, and he tells them not to get on rides, and they do. With each ride more dangerous than the last, the kids search for their parents. By the time they meet up, they're chased into a studio. Welcome to Horrorland's hidden camera show. The Morrises go head-to-head trying to win a new car. They fail. With the assistance of that same monster, they escape from becoming lunch. We're literally left with a cliffhanger. I love the ending being open to the fate of the family. All of the rides were fun. The commercials were fantastic. This has a Mojo World feel to it to me. I really like the look of the monsters. With that being said, this one is a roller coaster of a ride full of monsters. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the rest of the countdown tomorrow. You get my top 5 revealed tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for joining me. Be sure to drop a comment. Number 5. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. We start this one off with Billy and a bus full of kids arriving at Camp Nightmoon. We're introduced to a counselor, Larry, and head counselor, Uncle Al. Things seem odd immediately. After a snake bite, a creature attack, and drownings, Billy has had enough and decides to confront Uncle Al and Larry over the disappearances. Billy pulls the trigger on Uncle Al. Little does Billy know this is exactly what everyone wants. Billy passes the test, and his parents show up to explain why they put Billy through the test. This episode for me was always such a fun episode. It's a camp episode. What could go wrong? Everything for Billy. The tension slowly builds after each kid disappears. Uncle Al, Larry, and all the kids being so oblivious to what's going on. I really enjoy that. And I love it when the parents show up and then they finally reveal to Billy why they have him do this test. And it's to visit this dangerous planet called Earth. Number 4. Night of the Living Dummy 3. Slappy returns after Trina reads the incantation. Trina and her brother Daniel are joined by their cousin Zane, who will be staying with them. The siblings are always teasing Zane. This trip, Zane decides to turn the tables on them and set them up. Slappy sees it and enlists the help of all the dummies in the Odell estate, before converting Zane into a dummy too. Slappy then tries to have Rocky, a loyal dummy, betray his family, but Rocky shows his roots run deeper with the Odell family, and then a bolt of lightning hits Slappy and blows him up. This is easily the best episode, point blank period, featuring Slappy. I love that he's able to control the other dummies, and I also love that he turned Anakin into a dummy as well. We all already know he's Sidious's dummy. Anyway, that's a story for another time, from a galaxy far, far away. What a head turner this episode was. Number 3. The Haunted Mask 2. Steve wants a mask that is scary like Carly Beth's from last year. Carly refuses to show him where she got it from, but her mask exhumes itself from the grave and then takes over the old man at the shop. And the old man from the shop then shows Steve where to get the mask. Steve finds the mask and puts it on. Immediately, the mask begins to take grip on Steve. Chuck realizes this when Steve is acting strange. Chuck enlists the help of Carly Beth. Steve needs their help now more than ever, as the mask is rapidly aging him. The original mask wants Steve to bring him Carly Beth's head sculpt, the one that saved her in the Haunted Mask Part 1. Carly and Steve have to overcome the mask plan, and they do so together. And then they burn them bad boys. Continuity is key here, and I feel like this one keeps it true to the look and feel of the first one, down to the costumes. That just amps it up even more for me. The masks are cool, the new and old ones. Speaking of old, when Steve wears the mask and the mask ages him into a week-old man, the opposite effect of Carly Beth's mask, there's some dialogue with Steve and another kid that has me cracking up every time. Number 2, The Ghost Next Door. Hannah wakes up to smoke in her room, but then she realizes it was a dream. Hannah leaves her home in search of a shadow figure that has been stalking her. While chasing the figure, she bumps into Danny, a new kid in the neighborhood. Hannah's suspicions then arise about Danny. Hannah begins to investigate him. Hannah sees the ghost in Danny's basement and believes that Danny is the ghost. That is until Danny realizes that Hannah is actually the ghost. Her house burned. After Hannah finds out what the shadow figure intends to do with Danny, she makes it her mission to try to save Danny from the shadow figure, who is ultimately quote-unquote death in my opinion. Hannah does save him in the nick of time, and Hannah is reunited with her family. Now, this episode to me could easily be number 1. Maybe one day it will be. The first episode we see, we're led to believe that Danny is the ghost. We get that morbid reveal of Hannah and her family's death. I'd never seen this episode until my adult years, but damn what an impact it had on me. This episode is dark. It even has a chilling score throughout. It plays like a Final Destination movie, but it ends like Ghost. This one is a must-see in my opinion. Number 1. The Haunted Mask. Carly Beth is sick of being teased and tormented by Chuck and Steve. Carly's had enough and it's time to exact her revenge. Carly Beth finds the perfect mask at the shop's back room. Carly Beth takes the mask and runs after the shopkeeper warns her of the dangers. But Carly Beth doesn't listen, and on Halloween night, it is her night. The tormented becomes the tormentor, as Carly Beth won't stop until she's found Chuck and Steve. Carly finally finds them and scares them in a cemetery. Carly then buries the model of her head that her mom made for her. Carly and Sabrina, they get back home, and Carly Beth cannot get the mask off. Carly Beth panics, and she returns to the shop. The tall man gives her the backstory on the unloved ones. Carly Beth must break the curse with the symbol of love. The unloved ones chase her to the cemetery, where she digs up the model of the head that the unloved ones leave. And the mask releases itself from Carly Beth. On October 27, 1995, this one aired on primetime Fox to a Nielsen rating of 8.2, which means it was viewed in 7.9 million homes. My home was one of them. The Haunted Mask had it all for me as an 11-year-old. Laughs, scares, awesome effects. Carly Beth's costume is so cool. Even that little touch of that little red scarf, oh god, that is so cool, that fabric. It's so cool, it adds so much to that costume. I love the setting being Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. This episode has always been a go-to for that reason. Once Carly Beth puts on the mask, I always watch with anticipation and joy. It isn't Halloween until I've watched this classic. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to do so. I highly recommend it for all you horror lovers, young and old. Be sure to check out Goosebumps. This series is currently streaming on Netflix. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me your top 10 in the comments below. And a special thanks to Ted Kemper Studios. My next top 10 will be about the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cowabunga, dude!